Once upon a time, in a world untouched by the jagged scars of betrayal, I stood adorned in a delicate gown, a vision bathed in soft, ethereal light. The room was filled with fragrant flowers, their gentle whispers carrying promises of eternal love. Friends and family gathered, their faces illuminated by the joy of the occasion, their smiles reflecting a future filled with hope. He stood at the altar, my husband, to be, looking like something conjured from a dream. His eyes, deep pools of sincerity, met mine, and in that instant, I felt a connection that transcended mere words. As we exchanged vows, our voices trembling with emotion, the universe seemed to hold its breath, blessing our union with a sacred silence. "Are you ready for this journey, my love?" he whispered later as we danced beneath a canopy of twinkling stars. The music swirled around us, a melodic embrace that felt like destiny. "With all my heart," I replied, laying my head on his shoulder, feeling the comforting beat of his heart, a rhythm I believed would guide me through the rest of my life. Our guests toasted to our happiness, their laughter mingling with the clinking of glasses and the soft rustle of silk. We were the epitome of young love, a perfect match, a fairy tale brought to life. Yet, even in that moment of unadulterated joy, there were subtle signs, hints that all was not as it seemed, a flash of envy in his eyes as my success was praised, a tightened grip on my hand when others admired me, a shadow that flickered across his face, gone before I could grasp its meaning. I ignored those fleeting warnings, dismissing them as figments of my imagination. I was intoxicated by love, blinded by the brilliance of my dreams. As the night wore on, and the guests departed, leaving behind the echoes of their well wishes, we retreated to our new home, our sanctuary. It was a place we had chosen together, a beautiful house that stood as a symbol of our shared future. We crossed the threshold hand in hand, our steps in perfect sync, yet, somewhere in the distance, thunder rumbled, a faint murmur foretelling a storm I could not yet perceive. That night, as we lay entwined, two souls melded into one, I believed with every fiber of my being that we were invincible. I could not see the path that lay ahead, the trials and tribulations that would test our bond, the darkness that would threaten to consume us. But for now, all was well. The world was ours, and love was a promise, unbreakable and eternal. As I drifted into sleep, his breath warm against my neck, I was content, blissfully unaware that the dream was soon to fracture, giving way to a reality far more complex and challenging than I could have ever imagined. The dream wedding was just that, a dream, and the dawn was approaching, bringing with it the harsh light of truth. The days following our wedding were filled with a golden haze. Each moment a painting brought to life, each breath infused with the fragrance of romance. We danced through life as if floating on a cloud, each mundane task turned magical by the mere presence of the other. Our love was new and unspoiled, an unexplored territory filled with infinite possibilities. The mornings were sweet with shared breakfasts, and the nights were tender, wrapped in the warmth of each other's embrace. I still worked from home, but my husband would come to my desk, his hands massaging my shoulders, his lips whispering sweet nothings in my ear. My earnings were something we celebrated together, a joint success in our shared life. Yet slowly, almost imperceptibly, shadows began to creep into our sunlit existence. We hosted dinner parties, filled with laughter and merriment, friends and family celebrating our happiness. But I noticed something in my husband's eyes, a glint that wasn't quite right, a stiffness in his smile when someone praised my work, a flicker of something unnameable. "Do you ever feel, my love, that we're not quite equals?" he asked one night, his voice casual, yet his eyes betraying a deeper concern. I laughed, brushing off his question. "Equals. We're partners, bound by love and trust. What's mine is yours." He nodded, seemingly satisfied, but the question lingered, echoing in the stillness of our room, a haunting melody that refused to be silenced. We went on vacations, exploring exotic lands hand in hand, our love a compass, guiding us through unknown terrains. But there too, I saw it, a tension in his jaw when the hotel staff mistook me for the one who paid, a flash of anger in his eyes when strangers assumed it was my success that afforded us these luxuries. The cracks were small, almost invisible, hidden beneath layers of affection and shared dreams. But they were there, growing, spreading, feeding on insecurities and unspoken fears. Our conversations changed, subtly at first. The easy banter gave way to guarded words, the spontaneous laughter replaced by forced smiles. "We're in this together," I reassured him over and over, believing that love could heal all wounds, that the storm brewing in the distance would pass us by. But deep down, a nagging doubt took root, a fear that something was shifting, a balance tilting, a love beginning to fray. The honeymoon phase was fading, giving way to a reality filled with complexities, a terrain filled with hidden traps and unseen dangers. And I, blissfully naive, continued to dance, unaware that the music was changing, the rhythm becoming discordant, the dream giving way to a new chapter, one filled with questions, uncertainties, and shadows that refused to be ignored. The fairy tale was over, and reality was knocking at the door, demanding to be acknowledged, refusing to be silenced. Our love, once pure and untainted, was entering uncharted waters, and I was adrift, caught in the currents of change, a ship without a compass, navigating through the unknown. The storm was approaching, and I was unprepared, still clinging to the memories of a time when love was simple, when trust was unbreakable, when we were invincible. But those days were gone, and a new chapter was beginning, one that would test us, challenge us, and reveal truths I was not yet ready to face. The honeymoon phase was over, and the real journey was about to begin. Time, that ever-flowing river, carried us forward, a relentless tide that refused to be tamed. The days turned into weeks, the weeks into months, and the golden haze of our honeymoon phase began to wane, replaced by the stark reality of daily life. The house we had chosen with such love and care became a battleground, each room echoing with the unspoken words that hung in the air like thick fog. His eyes, once filled with warmth and adoration, now bore a chill that sent shivers down my spine. "What do you even do all day?" he would snap, his voice dripping with disdain as he watched me toiling away at my remote work. "I contribute just as much as you do," I would reply, my voice steady, though my heart pounded with a mixture of anger and hurt. "Oh, please," he would scoff, "playing on the computer all day isn't real work. Maybe you should find a proper job." The words would sting, a slap in the face, a betrayal of the love and trust we had once shared. Our arguments became frequent, each one a wound that refused to heal, a scar on our once perfect relationship. Friends and family began to notice, their smiles turning to worried frowns, their laughter replaced by concerned whispers. We would put on a show, pretending that all was well, that our love was as strong as ever, but the facade was crumbling, the cracks spreading, reaching into the very core of our marriage. "Are you happy, my love?" I would ask him, my voice trembling, my eyes searching for a glimpse of the man I had married. He would shrug, his eyes avoiding mine, his words a hollow echo of what once was. "I'm fine," he would mutter, his voice devoid of emotion. But I knew he wasn't fine, and neither was I. We were lost, trapped in a maze of misunderstandings and hurt, our love a distant memory, our connection frayed and fragile. I tried to reach him, to bridge the gap that had grown between us, but he seemed a stranger, a ghost of the man I had fallen in love with. I poured myself into my work, finding solace in my success, taking pride in my accomplishments. But he seemed to resent it, his jealousy a dark cloud that hovered over our home, casting shadows on our once bright future. The love that had once been our anchor was now our prison, holding us captive in a cycle of anger and bitterness. We were strangers in our own home, each one retreating into a world of silence, unable or unwilling to break the walls that had sprung up between us. I began to question everything, my faith in our love shaken, my belief in our future shattered. The man I had married seemed a distant memory, replaced by a stranger who looked at me with cold eyes and spoke with cutting words. The fairy tale was over, and the reality was a cruel, unrelenting storm that threatened to tear us apart. The cracks in the facade were growing, reaching into the very foundation of our marriage. And I knew that something had to give, that something had to change. But I was trapped, caught in a web of fear and doubt, unable to find a way out, unable to see a path forward. The love that had once been my guiding light was now a twisted maze, and I was lost, wandering in the dark, searching for a way back to the warmth and joy that had once been ours. The storm was here, and I was caught in its fury, battered and bruised, clinging to the remnants of a dream that was slipping through my fingers. I knew that I had to find a way out, that I had to find the strength to break free, but I was paralyzed, frozen by the fear of what lay ahead. The cracks in the facade were no longer hidden, no longer a secret. They were a glaring reminder of what we had lost, of what we had become. And I knew that it was only a matter of time before the facade collapsed, leaving us broken and shattered, our love a distant memory, our dreams reduced to rubble. The fairy tale was over, and the nightmare was just beginning. A storm once unleashed cannot be tamed. It rages with a fury that refuses to be silenced, tearing apart everything in its path. Such was the tempest that had engulfed our marriage, a wild, unrelenting force that swept us off our feet, leaving us battered and broken. The day he called me a freeloader was the day the storm reached its crescendo. His words were a bolt of lightning searing through me, leaving me stunned and breathless. A freeloader? I had stammered, my voice cracking, my mind unable to comprehend the venom in his words. Yes, he had spat, his face twisted with anger, his eyes ablaze with contempt. You sit at home all day playing on your computer, pretending to work. You're nothing but a leash, sucking me dry. The room had spun, the walls closing in on me, his words a cacophony of noise that pounded in my ears. I had stumbled back, tears streaming down my face, my heart aching with the pain I had never known. He had left then, slamming the door behind him, his words echoing in the empty house, a haunting reminder of the love we had lost. I had collapsed, my body racked with sobs, my soul shattered by the betrayal of the man I had once called my love, my partner, my everything. Days turned into weeks, and the house became a prison, each room a reminder of what we had once been, each silence a testament to the chasm that had grown between us. He had gone on a vacation, leaving me behind, his words a gaping wound that refused to heal. The pain was unbearable, a constant reminder of the trust that had been broken, the love that had been lost, and then the discovery that changed everything. A phone call, a voice, a confession. He was with someone else, a mistress, a secret hidden in the shadows of our crumbling marriage. I was numb, my mind unable to process the reality of his betrayal, my heart frozen in disbelief. The storm had reached its apex, and I was caught in its eye, trapped in a whirlwind of emotions, my world turned upside down. But something had changed. A spark had been ignited, a fire that refused to be extinguished. Anger, rage, determination, they burned within me, fueling a strength I had never known. I would not be a victim. I would not be a freeloader. I would take control of my destiny, take back my life, take back my power. I sold the house, the home we had built together, the place where we had shared dreams and laughter, love and tears. $1 million, a clean slate, a new beginning. He returned, expecting to find me broken and defeated, expecting to find his home, his refuge. But all he found was a stranger's face, a new life that had no place for him. He called, rage in his voice, disbelief in his words. "What have you done?" he screamed, his world collapsing around him. "I've taken back my life," I replied, my voice calm, my resolve unshakable. "I know what you did. I know what you did. I know who you are, and I will not be your victim any longer." The storm had passed, leaving destruction in its wake, but also clearing a path to a new future, a future where I was in control, where I was strong, where I was free. The nightmare was over, and a new chapter was beginning, a chapter where I was the author, the creator, the master of my destiny. The fairy tale was a distant memory, a lesson learned, a dream that had given way to a new reality. I was no longer lost. no longer adrift. I was Donna, purposeful, kind, and intelligent, and I was ready to face the world, armed with the wisdom of the storm, guided by the strength of my conviction, unbreakable, unshakable, unshakable, unstoppable. The storm had been unleashed, and I had emerged from its fury, stronger, wiser, and ready to conquer the world. The dawn after the storm is a sight to behold. The world, once dark and tumultuous, is bathed in a soft golden glow, the air fresh and clean, filled with the promise of a new beginning. Such was the dawn of my new life, a life untainted by betrayal, unburdened by resentment, a life of my own making. The house, once filled with love and laughter, now belonged to someone else. A chapter closed, a door firmly shut. In its place, a world of opportunities lay before me, a horizon unexplored, a journey yet to be embarked upon. I found myself standing at a crossroads, the path behind me strewn with the debris of a broken dream, the path ahead leading to destinations unknown, adventures unimagined. I was Donna, but I was also something more, something transformed, something reborn. The ashes of my past had given way to a phoenix, a creature of strength and beauty, a symbol of resilience and renewal. I embraced my new identity, reveling in my newfound freedom, intoxicated by the power of self-reliance, of self-discovery, of self-love. I threw myself into my work, my passion ignited, my creativity unbounded. I was no longer a prisoner of another's judgment, no longer shackled by another's expectations. I was my own master, my own muse, my own hero. Success followed, a testament to my determination, a reward for my perseverance. My remote work flourished, my earnings soared, my reputation solidified. I was no freeloader. I was a force to be reckoned with, a woman of substance, a woman of power. But with success came reflection, a time to look back, to understand, to heal. The wounds were still there, scars on my soul, reminders of the pain, the betrayal, the loss. I sought therapy, a safe space to unravel the threads of my past, to make sense of the chaos, to find peace in the turmoil. I cried, I raged, I mourned. I faced the demons that had haunted me, the shadows that had plagued me, the fears that had paralyzed me. And in the midst of the darkness, I found light, a spark of understanding, a glimmer of forgiveness, a beacon of hope. I forgave him, not for his sake, but for mine. I released the anger, the bitterness, the resentment, letting them go like leaves on the wind, carried away by the currents of time, leaving me unburdened, unencumbered, free. I also forgave myself for the mistakes, for the blindness, for the naivety. I embraced my imperfections, my flaws, my humanity. I found friends, true friends, companions on the journey, supporters in the struggle, confidants in the joy and sorrow. I found love, not the love of romance, but the love of self, the love of life, the love of the adventure that lay ahead. I found peace, a tranquility that settled over me like a gentle breeze, a calm that pervaded my being, a serenity that whispered of contentment, of fulfillment, of joy. I stood at the dawn of a new day, a new chapter, a new life. The storm had passed, the phoenix had risen, and I was ready to soar, to explore, to create, to live. I was Donna, purposeful, kind, intelligent, and I was ready to embrace the world, to embrace myself, to embrace the endless possibilities that awaited. I was free.